Hocus Pocus and Home Alone get 4K releases, Vestron Video is back, and all of us 4K collectors are about to go a little mad sometimes as Psycho gets a 4K release. All this and more in the next Physical Media Report. Stay tuned. What is up, guys? I am the Mid-Level Critic Ken, and welcome back to Mid-Level Media for another Monday edition of the Physical Media Report. This is episode 11, and we are here today to run down all of the latest and greatest in the Blu-ray 4K release developments over the past week. Also here to cover the new releases for the week, give you the top 5 Blu-ray and 4Ks, go over some deals with you, and answer your Q&A questions that you submitted to me over Instagram. So let's get into it, guys. We're going to start off with some news, and we have a lot of awesome news to cover today. Not so much in the releases this week, which we'll get to later, but there has been tons of late-breaking developments and news stories in the world of physical media, and I cannot wait to dig into it. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. It was announced, I think, late last week that Hocus Pocus will be getting the 4K treatment, and that will be released on September the 15th. Not only will it be getting the regular 4K cover, but it will also be getting a Best Buy exclusive steelbook as well, with some really cool artwork that I'm going to post both of those up there for you guys to see. And as you know, Hocus Pocus got a couple special editions a couple of years ago, along with The Nightmare Before Christmas. They got Target exclusive and steelbooks also back then, but those were just Blu-ray releases and not 4K. So now Hocus Pocus is finally getting a 4K release. Hopefully Nightmare Before Christmas gets announced as well, but that is not yet. We also, on the same day, September the 15th, we are getting Home Alone on 4K. So that is definitely awesome. No news yet if Home Alone 2 is also getting a 4K release. I would imagine that would have been announced as well, but not yet. And no word on any steelbooks or special editions for that, just the 4K announcement itself, and that will be out on September the 15th. So next thing up, guys, and this was really exciting for me as a Kevin Smith fan, as a fan of this film, since I saw it when I was like 10 or 11 back in 1995, Mallrats is getting an Arrow collection set. And that cover is awesome. And that's coming out on September the 29th. This, of course, was a part of Arrow's September release schedule, but Mallrats was definitely the biggest name on that list. And it's coming out with a bunch of special features, new interviews from Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes, and the cast. So a lot of cool stuff's going to be in that set. So I know I'm pre-ordering that. That's something I'm going to be getting day one. The other titles that were announced in that Arrow lineup for September were Ivan's XTC, and that's a film starring Danny Houston. I'm not really sure what that is. That's coming out on September the 15th. We also have Graveyards of Honor, which is coming out on September the 8th, and Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway, and that's coming out on September the 15th. So none of those titles I'm really familiar with, but Arrow always does really great work in these kind of niche titles that no one's ever heard of before, except for like hardcore kind of cult classic film fans. But I am a huge fan of Mallrats. I'm super excited for that film to get the Arrow treatment. It would be awesome if Clerks got the Arrow treatment as well, and they both kind of released them as a double pack, because those are among my two favorite Kevin Smith films, so that would be really cool. But as of right now, yeah, Mallrats Arrow Edition, that's super exciting news. I was awesome to hear that. We also have Superman Man of Tomorrow, a new DC animated film that is going to be due out on September the 8th, and that is a 4K release as well. I imagine it'll probably be Blu-ray as well. But the 4K was announced for September the 8th for all you DC animated fans out there. I know there's a lot of you. We also have Jackie Chan, a Jackie Chan collection coming from 88 films. It's kind of a part of his classic collection, like films from the 70s and early 80s that Jackie Chan was in. And one of them is The Fearless Hyena, which is coming out on August the 24th. And the other one is Dragon Lord, which is also coming out on August 24th. So some martial arts, kung fu, Jackie Chan fans from way back in the day. Definitely something to be excited about for you as well. I'm not really into that those kind of films. I haven't seen a lot of those older kung fu action type films. I am familiar with Jackie Chan from movies like Rush Hour and Shanghai Noon, and the later films he was in, like Super Cop and stuff, Rumble in the Bronx, I've seen. But I haven't really seen a lot of Jackie Chan's earlier work. So if you think that's worth checking out, go ahead and comment down below and let me know. So next up, guys, and I know this is like really exciting news for a lot of you out there, a lot of you collectors, and I actually got their last release that they did, which was Maximum Overdrive, but Vestron Video, guys, is back after an almost 2-year hiatus. They just kind of went dark and didn't do anything, didn't really send out any kind of press release or let anybody know what was up. They just went dark, and everybody was wondering, like, what's happening to Vestron? Are they out of business, or are they not operating anymore? Like, are they not coming out with any new titles? Like, what's going on? Well, now it is being heavily rumored and pretty much confirmed that they are coming out with 2 titles in September, and one of them is Little Monsters, which is, of course, the classic children's flick with Fred Savage and Howie Mandel. I remember watching that movie a bunch when I was a kid. I loved that movie. And another one is a David Cronenberg film called The Shivers, which I haven't seen, but those are 2 titles that are coming out in September on September the 15th. So get excited, Vestron Video collectors, because I know a lot of you all out there are really disappointed when they hadn't come out with anything for a while, and that was something I was looking to get in collecting, but after they kind of took their hiatus, I got out of it. But yeah, Maximum Overdrive, it's a great transfer from the one that I've seen, so definitely excited to see Vestron back. The High Note is coming out on Blu-ray August the 11th, and that's a movie starring Dakota Johnson, which was a straight-to-VOD release, I think, a few weeks ago. I have not seen the movie yet, but that's coming out on Blu-ray on August the 11th. And we also have a Shudder exclusive. The Room is being released by RLJ Entertainment, and that is coming out on July the 21st. So that's a horror film that was an exclusive on Shudder, and now it's coming out on Blu-ray. So any of you all are fans of that film, fans of the Shudder service, you might be into that. Vinegar Syndrome has announced their July slate, and among those titles is Perfect Strangers, The Naughty Victorians, and the 11th Commandment. So I'm not familiar with any of those titles. Vinegar Syndrome, much like Arrow and all those kind of boutique collector, Kino Lorber, they kind of pluck all of these kind of cult classic movies out of obscurity, and they release them to the world to be watched. So interested in checking those out, though, if they're cool. All right, guys, but the biggest news came over the weekend, and that is that Psycho, the classic 1960 Alfred Hitchcock film, is getting a 4K release. Now, so what was also confirmed along with that, and that is due out on September the 8th, is that, and I'm not sure if Psycho is going to get a standalone slip. I hope it gets its own slipcover. But it is set to be a part of a collection, a 4K collection, Alfred Hitchcock collection, with Rear Window, Vertigo, and The Birds. And I just caught wind of that right before I started filming this. So yeah, I am super excited. I'm a huge fan of Psycho. I love The Birds. I love Rear Window. I have not seen Vertigo, so that's definitely probably, if you were to say, like, what are Alfred Hitchcock's most popular films, those are probably the 4 that are at the top of the list. So it makes sense that they would release all of those on 4K. So that is one hell of a collection that I cannot wait to get my hands on when that comes out in September. So, all right, guys, we're going to get into the deals in a second. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and ask you, if you haven't yet and you're just checking this channel out for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel for more great content like this. I do unboxing videos and Blu-ray and 4K reviews. All that great stuff on this channel. Basically just a lot of stuff dealing with physical media. I do also do streaming reviews, VOD reviews, movie reviews, stuff like that. So anything movie related, physical media related, collection videos, all that great stuff on this channel. So you can go back and check out my back catalog and see if you like my stuff, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, guys, if you haven't yet and you're watching this video, I beg you, just take a couple of seconds and hit that like button down there. It would help this video out tremendously, and just kind of support the channel and help this channel, and I would really appreciate it if you guys would just hit that like button. So also leave me a comment down below, just what of all these new news stories are you excited for? And also, what have you picked up recently? What do you plan on picking up this week? All that great stuff. Leave it in the comments below, and let's have a conversation about the thing we all love, physical media, 4Ks, Blu-rays, all of that. So let's go ahead and get into these deals. So the first deal that I saw is a great film from 2016, one of my favorite films of that year, and that's La La Land on Blu-ray is going for $5 on Amazon. So if you don't own La La Land, which is one of the best musicals of the past 20 years, definitely pick that up for $5. It's totally worth it. We also have The Lighthouse, the A24 film The Lighthouse, which was very critically acclaimed from last year with William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. That is $10 right now on Amazon, and that movie is fairly new, so you could probably still get it with a slipcover, which would be awesome, because that slipcover is amazing. So $10 is definitely worth it to buy that film for sure. Simple Favor, which is a Paul Feig movie with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick from I think 2018. That's a really fun movie, really fun kind of mystery comedy thriller type movie. I don't even know what you would call it. It's a lot of different things, but it's a really fun movie, and it's going for $5 right now on Amazon. So that is one that I actually picked up myself. So also, guys, another A24 film. It's what I consider to be the best horror film of the 21st century, and that is The Witch, is now $5 on Amazon. So definitely pick that up. And we also have a Scream Factory of RoboCop 2 that is $16.35 on Amazon right now. So that's a great deal for a Scream Factory. We also have VFW, the 4K for $10. So for $10 for a 4K, that is a great price right there. We also have Strangers Pray at Night for $5. That movie came out a couple of years ago. So great deal for that. And the Blade Trinity, all on Blu-ray, it's going for $10 now on Amazon. So definitely pick that up. If you're a fan of the Blade movies and you don't own them yet, that would definitely be worth it. So next, guys, let's get to the top 5 Blu-ray and 4Ks from this past week. And this is an interesting assortment right here. And at number 1, and I'm not sure why, because this isn't even, I checked because I was going to buy it if there was a deal, but I didn't see any deals that went along with this. And I really can't think of any reason why this would be number 1. But the Mad Max Collection, which came out a few years ago, is number 1 on the Blu-ray list. So all 3 of the original Mad Max films with Mel Gibson, that is number 1. And number 2 is Gone with the Wind, which of course makes sense why people are picking that up. I think I advocated for people to pick that up. And, you know, if you're a fan of the movie, just in case it's pulled off of streaming services for good or whatever ends up happening with it. But that makes sense that that's at number 2. Number 3 is Trolls World Tour, which also makes sense. That movie is coming out on Blu-ray next week, which we'll be talking about next week on the Physical Media Report. The Lighthouse is number 4, which makes sense because it's on deal right now for $10. It's a great film, so if you haven't seen The Lighthouse, definitely pick that up for $10. Totally worth it. And number 5, The Rise of Skywalker, still hanging in there. A movie that came out 3 months ago on Blu-ray and 4K, still on the top 5. So yeah, I would have figured that everybody that wanted The Rise of Skywalker and loved that movie had already got it, but I guess people are still picking it up. So more power to them. But all right, guys, let's get into what is new this week. And just like last week, guys, it is a bit of a disappointing week. There's really nothing, to be honest. There's some Criterions, there's some Arrows, there's some Shout Factories. That's the same as every week. We usually have that kind of stuff. Nothing in store, no big store releases until next week when Trolls comes out. And you're going to be seeing more stuff pick up. As you can see, we've got our announcements and stuff. Some more stuff's going to be coming down the pipeline, but it's going to be slow, really slow for these next few weeks. So I'm going to try to guide you through these tough times as a physical media collector the best I can. But there is some cool things coming out. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the Django Arrow set. And no, this is not the Quentin Tarantino Django. This is the old kind of the 1960s Western that's coming out. And that is getting an Arrow video release, which I should be receiving the steelbook for that soon. From Arrow Video to kind of unbox and show off. So I'll be doing a video of that when I get it. So it has the original box set collection. It also has a steelbook, just an old Western film that I guess was inspired Tarantino to make the film. We also had the Django Suzaki Western. I guess that's a Japanese version of the film. And Tarantino, is what I was saying, is actually in that film. And that was back in 2007. So that probably is what sparked him to make the Django with Jamie Foxx and Leonardo DiCaprio a few years later. So that's pretty interesting, just seeing kind of the origins of where the idea for Django came from. We also have Come and See, which is a 1985 film, Criterion Collection. That is coming out, and I actually did pre-order that because I've heard terrific things about that movie from 1985, and I definitely want to check it out. So that's coming out this week, and that's a great cover on that Criterion right there. Just really cool artwork. And we have Orca the Killer Whale, which is a Scream Factory release that is coming out this week. If anybody's interested in picking up Orca the Killer Whale. Laurel and Hardy, which is a Kit Parker Films released. And that is an old show. I think there's some episodes of that on there. I don't know. It says it's like 500 minutes long, so I'm assuming it's a series of some sort. I'm sorry I didn't do my research too much on Laurel and Hardy. That's an old show from back in the day. I don't know how many people is too interested in that. We also have Patty Hearst, which is getting a Vinegar Syndrome release. The Immortalizer, which is also getting a Vinegar Syndrome release. And we have Wild Palms from Kino Lorber. Is getting a Blu-ray release as well. And we have the Mel Gibson starring movie Force of Nature, which is getting a Blu-ray release. And I'm guessing that might be in stores. That might be the one that comes out this week that is going to be in stores. I'm not sure. But we also have 4 Kids and It, which is starring Michael Caine. That might be in stores. It's one of those Dove-approved titles. So that might be, it might be 4 Kids and It and Force of Nature coming out this week on Blu-ray. So the straight to Blu-ray stuff, you'll probably find those at Walmart, I'm sure. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Like, I could dig deeper with some stuff, but there's not a whole lot this week. And to be honest, this week kind of feels a little bit more depressing than last week. But we're gonna get that for the next few weeks. I know we got Trolls coming out, but after that, it's gonna slow down again. Hopefully things will pick up in the fall with all these 4K re-releases and the Arrows and the Scream Factories and all that stuff coming out. We're going to have some stuff to talk about. And, in the world of physical media, there's always stuff to talk about. There's always exciting things coming down the pike that we can dig into and still create a fun, entertaining show for you guys here on the Physical Media Report. So I appreciate you guys still joining me every week. Coming here, hanging out with me and talking physical media. But I'm going to get into just what I picked up this past week, and I only grabbed one thing, and that was Gladiator on 4K. I saw this was on a deal. I think I went over it last week. It was $15. So I went ahead and grabbed the 4K of that because I don't own Gladiator. That's a pretty cool cover. And I got this from Amazon, so I was super excited to still get the slipcover for this because sometimes, as you all know, when you order off of Amazon, you aren't always lucky enough to get that slipcover. So that was really awesome that I got that. But all right, guys, so I'm going to get into these Q&A questions right here. And a few of them kind of fold into each other, but I got some really great questions this week. So I'm going to probably answer a couple at the same time because they were kind of had to do with the same thing. So just to let you all know that ahead of time. But my first question comes from 4KD Ray, who is a great supporter of the Levels of Geek show, which I do every Monday and Wednesday night on the Levels of Geek channel. So come and check that out every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m., guys, just to get a quick plug in. And I'll probably plug it again at the end of the show, but I thought I'd go ahead and talk about it right there. And 4KD Ray, he has a great channel as well. Go check him out. On YouTube. He does collection hauls and Best Buy trips and all that kind of stuff, so check him out. He asked me, what is the best movie currently available on 4K? So I think I've had this asked before, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it up again. The best one that I own, that's the only one I can speak to, the one that looks the best, is Blade Runner 2049. And it's also a phenomenal movie as well if you haven't seen that. But I think that looks the best out of all the 4Ks I own. It's just a fantastic transfer, and the movie's just gorgeous and beautiful, and it's a modern sci-fi masterpiece in my opinion. I love that film. 4KD Ray also asks, what's the movie you want to receive a 4K transfer? Now, this I know I have answered before, and the thing that comes to the mind, I'm going to give you a different answer today, but the top two that comes to my mind is The Exorcist and True Lies. I really want 4K transfers of both of those. The Exorcist because it's my favorite horror film of all time, and True Lies because that movie doesn't even have a Blu-ray transfer. So we desperately need a transfer of that soon, a 4K transfer. I still have the VHS, but I don't have the DVD, so desperately need a 4K transfer of True Lies. But the new answer I'm going to give you is Nightmare on Elm Street. It's another one of my favorite horror films from the 80s, I think that needs a 4K transfer. I think it would look phenomenal in 4K. That movie is so dark and grimy and gritty, and I can just see Freddy down that dark alleyway holding up his fingers and chopping them off. It would look phenomenal in 4K. So I think Nightmare on Elm Street needs a 4K treatment, to be honest. The next one, guys, is The Amazing Spider-Man, and he asks, favorite Shout Factory Blu-ray? So I'm going to fold this in to another question I got, which is from Netflix Reviews, and he asks, what are your top 3 favorite Scream Factory releases movie-wise? So I'm going to go ahead and show my top 3 right here. And that way you'll see when you get to number 1, that'll answer the Amazing Spider-Man's question as well. So my top 3, guys, and this is based on transfer and cover and just overall presentation and special features. The first one is Drag Me to Hell. That is number 3. I love the cover on this, and this has some really interesting special features, and it looks great on 4K, to be honest. Not 4K, but just the transfer of it, the 2K transfer. Number 2, guys, is In the Mouth of Madness. I love this cover. I love this movie. I think this is a super underrated John Carpenter movie, and probably the last great movie that John Carpenter directed in the mid-90s, starring Sam Neill. So if you have not seen In the Mouth of Madness, definitely go out and pick this Shout Factory up, because it's an incredible transfer, incredible special features, and I love this movie. This is a great movie. Next one, guys, the last one is Candyman. I love Candyman. I think it's one of the most underrated 90s horror films, if not one of the most underrated horror films of all time. This Shout Factor release and cover is amazing. I love it. It actually has 2 covers. This is the more traditional one. But yeah, this one came with 2 covers back when I got it when it came out. And yeah, this one has some awesome special features and interviews and stuff. And the transfer looks great. And this movie's just fantastic. I love it. So that is my number 1 Shout Factory Scream Factor release for sure. And the next one, guys, the last one comes from the GEEK Collector, your favorite 4K that you own. And the favorite 4K that I own, guys, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's The Shining. I love the cover on it. The transfer isn't like the best, but I just love owning one of my favorite horror films of all time in 4K. The cover on it's amazing. I remember I was just so excited for that movie when it came out on 4K. Just the build up to it and the anticipation. Like, that was probably the most excited I've been to pick up a 4K title ever. So that's my favorite one in my collection. But I hope that answers your question, guys. And thank you all for submitting those. If you don't know how to submit a question here on the Physical Media Report, I put up a story every Sunday on my Mid-Level Media account and my Mid-Level Movie Reviews account. So you can go to either one of those. I'll put that in the stories to give you the option. You can kind of click on it and ask the question, and that's how it gets on the show as of right now. But I do appreciate you guys watching the Physical Media Report today. This is episode 11, so we'll be back next week for episode 12. And before I get off here, guys, I'm going to go ahead and promote and plug my live show I do with Ultra HD Geek, and this is on the Now Levels of Geeks channel, which I will link down below, which you guys can check out. But we do a live show every Monday and Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we kind of run down the latest movie news. We do film reviews. We do topic discussions. This past week we did best action movies, and we are what makes us special and unique, I think, is we really engage and include our audience in our chat and our show. Like, it feels like it's me and Alex talking about movies, talking about TV, as kind of the face of the show. But we include our viewers as a part of the show as well, and it's just like a bunch of people, a bunch of film fans just sitting around talking about movies. The thing we all love, and it's really cool. We do it for about an hour and a half, somewhere around there. And yeah, I would really love it if you guys are a supporter of this channel and you watch my stuff on here. If you'd like to stop by tonight, just to stop by to try it out, see how you like it, see how you like the flow of the show. We really put a lot of work into it, so I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would come check it out. It would definitely be awesome to see you in the chat talking and responding and just engaging us. And as we discuss the latest news, I know we're going to talk about the delays with Tenet and Mulan tonight. We're also going to talk about Margot Robbie and the new Pirates movie. Just a bunch of fun stuff that we're going to do on that show. And we also do a wheel spin. Every night we give away digital codes to our audience, so it's a really fun time. You can come on, you can win a digital code. Just a fun time, guys. Come check us out at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Levels of Geeks channel. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this show. And like always, I appreciate you guys stopping by every Monday and listening to me ramble on about physical media and 4K and Blu-rays. I may not be the most knowledgeable on the subject, but I just like talking about the thing I love and kind of giving you all a window into what's coming out, what you can be anticipating, and what's coming up, and to kind of, make it easy for you to kind of stop in and see what's coming out. I'll leave some time codes down below, so if you don't want to check out the whole show, if there's a certain topic you just want to drop in to check out, I'll make it easy for you by leaving those time codes down below. But I appreciate you guys stopping by, enjoying the show. Go ahead and like this video if you haven't yet. Comment down below. Subscribe to my channel. And we'll see you next time.